There is a mirror that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. It does not hang on a wall. It sits in the back of your mind, and when you look into it, you do not see your face. You see your motivations, your fears, the real reasons you do what you do. Self-awareness is often talked about as if it is a pure good, as if knowing yourself deeply is always the right path. The self-help industry has turned introspection into a product. Journal more, meditate more, know yourself. And yet nobody talks about the cost. Because real self-awareness is not comfortable. It is not a warm feeling of enlightenment. It is a cold confrontation with the parts of yourself you built walls around. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this better than almost anyone. He wrote that becoming who you are presupposes that you have not the slightest idea who you are. In other words, the journey to self-knowledge begins with admitting that you do not know yourself at all. Most people never take this step. They live their entire lives inside a story they inherited from their parents, their culture, their fears. They believe they are the main character of a narrative they never wrote. And the scariest part is that this works. It functions. People who are not self-aware can be extremely happy. They float through life untroubled by the deeper questions. They do not lie awake wondering if they are a good person. They do not scrutinize their own motivations. They simply act, react, and move on. There is a kind of bliss in being unconscious. Nietzsche did not see self-awareness as a gift. He saw it as a burden. A necessary burden for those who want to truly live, but a burden nonetheless. He described the process of becoming who you are as a dangerous going across, a dangerous being on the way. It hurts. It isolates you. Because once you start seeing through your own illusions, you start seeing through everyone else's too. And that makes it very hard to connect with people who are still living inside theirs. There are levels to this. The first level is surface awareness. You know you get angry easily. You know you procrastinate. You notice patterns in your behavior, but you do not know why they are there. Most people stop here. The second level is motivational awareness. You start to understand why you do things. You trace your anger back to childhood experiences. You realize your ambition is driven by a need for approval you never received. This level is painful because it reveals that you are not the hero of your story. You are a collection of reactions to old wounds. The third level is existential awareness. You see not just your personal patterns, but the nature of consciousness itself. You understand that your entire identity is a construction, a story your brain tells itself to make sense of a chaotic world. At this level, you realize that the self is not a fixed thing. It is a process, a becoming. And this is where it gets dangerous. Because if the self is not real, then what are you? What is the point of anything? This is the abyss Nietzsche warned about. If you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you. Too much self-awareness can become a prison. You analyze every thought, every feeling, every interaction until nothing feels spontaneous anymore. You cannot enjoy a moment because you are too busy observing yourself enjoying it. You cannot be in love without dissecting whether it is real love or just attachment patterns playing out. You paralyze yourself. The French philosopher Michel Foucault once said that the care of the self can become a form of tyranny. And he was right. There is a point where introspection stops serving you and starts consuming you. So is the answer to stay ignorant? No. Nietzsche did not advocate for ignorance. He advocated for courage. The courage to face yourself without being destroyed by what you find. He believed that the highest form of human existence was to integrate your demons rather than deny them. To become who you are is not to become perfect. It is to become whole. To accept the parts of yourself that are ugly and selfish and weak, not so you can wallow in them, but so they no longer control you from the shadows. Self-awareness is a tool, not a destination. You use it to understand yourself enough to act. Then you stop analyzing and you live. The goal is not to be perfectly self-aware. The goal is to be aware enough to choose and courageous enough to choose well. Nietzsche spent his final years in a mental collapse. He witnessed a horse being whipped in the street, ran to embrace it, and never recovered. Some say he was too sensitive to the suffering of the world, too aware. Perhaps his mind broke under the weight of too much seeing. But the work he left behind changed the course of Western thought forever. Not because he was perfectly self-aware, but because he dared to look. So look at yourself, but do not stare. Know yourself, but do not worship the knowing. The point is not to understand the river. The point is to swim in it.